rates and the declining wages in the African American community that are related to the flood of immigrant labor. Senator Obama, you want to go first on that? And it's for both of you all.
Well, let me first of all say that I have worked on the streets of Chicago as an organizer with people who've been laid off from steel plants, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, and all of them are feeling economically insecure right now, and they have been for many years. Before the latest round of immigrants showed up, you had huge unemployment rates among African American youth. And so I think to suggest somehow that the problem that we're seeing in inner city unemployment, for example, is attributable to immigrants, I think is a case of scapegoating that I do not believe it. I do not subscribe to it. And this is where we do have a very real difference with the other party. I believe that we can be a nation of laws and a nation of immigrants. Now, there is no doubt that we have to get control of our borders. We can't have hundreds of thousands of people coming over to the United States without us having any idea who they are. I also believe that we do have to crack down on those employers that are taking advantage of the situation, hiring folks who cannot complain about worker conditions, who aren't getting the minimum wage sometimes or aren't getting overtime. We have to crack down on them. I also believe we have to give a pathway to citizenship after they've paid a fine and learned English to those who are already here, because if we don't, they will continue to undermine U.S. wages. But let's understand more broadly that the economic problems that African Americans are experiencing, whites are experiencing, blacks and Latinos are experiencing in this country are all rooted in the fact that we have had an economy out of balance. We've had tax cuts that went up instead of down. We have had a lack of investment in basic infrastructure in this country. Our education system is chronically underfunded. And so there are a whole host of reasons why we have not been generating the kinds of jobs that we are generating. We should not use immigration as a tactic to divide. Instead, we should pull the country together to get this economy back on track. That's what I intend to do as President of the United States of America.
All right, Senator Clinton, we're going to stay on this subject, but Doyle has a follow-up.
Senator Clinton, Senator Obama has said that he favors allowing illegal immigrants to obtain driver's licenses, and you opposed that idea. Why?
Well, let me start with the original question from Kim, because I think it deserves an answer. I believe that in many parts of our country, because of employers who exploit undocumented workers and drive down wages, there are job losses, and I think we should be honest about that. There are people who have been pushed out of jobs in factories and meat processing plants and all kinds of settings, and I meet them. You know, I was in Atlanta last night, and an African-American man said to me, I used to have a lot of construction jobs, and now it just seems like the only people who get them anymore are people who are here without documentation. So I know that what we have to do is to bring our country together to have a comprehensive immigration reform solution. That is the answer. And it is important that we make clear to Kim and people who are worried about this that that is actually in the best interests of those who are concerned about losing their jobs or already have. Because if we can tighten our borders, if we can crack down on employers who exploit workers, both those who are undocumented and those who are here as citizens or legal, if we can do more to help local communities cope with the costs that they often have to contend with, if we do more to help our friends to the South create more jobs for their own people, and if we take what we know to be the realities that we confront, 12 to 14 million people here, what will we do with them? Well, I hear the voices from the other side of the aisle. I hear the voices on TV and radio, and they are living in some other universe, talking about deporting people, rounding them up. I don't agree with that, and I don't think it's practical. And therefore, what we've got to do is to say, come out of the shadows. We will register everyone. We will check, because if you have committed a crime in this country or the country you came from, then you will not be able to stay. You will have to be deported. But for the vast majority of people who are here, we will give you a path to legalization if you meet the following conditions. Pay a fine because you entered illegally. Be willing to pay back taxes over time. Try to learn English, and we have to help you do that because we've cut back on so many of those services. And then you wait in line. That not only is, I think, the best way to approach the problem of our 12 to 14 million who are here, but that also says to Kim, this is the best answer as well, because once we have those conditions met and people agree, then they will not be in a labor market that undercuts anybody else's wages.
Senator.
And therefore, it's imperative we approach it this way only after people have agreed to these conditions, Doyle, and that they have been willing to say, yes, they will meet those conditions. Do I think we ought to talk about privileges like driver's licenses? Because otherwise, I think you will further undermine the labor market for people like the ones Kim is referring to. We need to solve this problem, not exacerbate it, and that's what I intend to do as president.
All right. We're going to follow up. Senator Obama, in an interview with CNN this week, you said this. You said, quote, "I stood up for a humane and intelligent immigration policy in a way that, frankly, none of my other opponents did." What did you mean by that?
Well, what I meant was that when this issue came up, not driver's license, but comprehensive immigration reform generally, I worked with Ted Kennedy, I worked with Dick Durbin, I worked with John McCain, although he may not admit it now, to move this issue forward aggressively. And it's a hard political issue. Let's be honest. This is not an issue that polls well, but I think it is the right thing to do. And I think we have to show leadership on the issue. And it is important for us, I believe, to recognize that the problems that workers are experiencing generally are not primarily caused by immigration.
But
there are no doubt.
Senator Clinton's policy was not, in your words, humane?
That is what I said was that we have to stand up for these issues when it's tough, and that's what I've done. I did it when I was in the state legislature, sponsoring the Illinois version of the DREAM Act, so that children who are brought here through no fault of their own are able to go to college, because we actually want well-educated kids in our country who are able to succeed and become part of this economy and part of the American dream.
Was she lacking on that front?
Wolf, you keep on trying to push on this
find out what you mean.
There are those who were opposed to this issue, and there have been those who have flipped on the issue and have run away from the issue. This wasn't directed particularly at Senator Clinton, but the fact of the matter is I have stood up consistently on this issue. On the driver's license issue, I don't actually want, I don't believe that we're going to have to deal with this if we have comprehensive immigration reform, because as I said before, people don't come here to drive, they come here to work. And if we have signed them up, if we have registered them, if they have paid a fine, if they are learning English, if they are going to the back of the line, if we fix our legal immigration system, then I believe we will not have this problem of undocumented workers in this country, because people will be able to actually go on a pathway to citizenship. That, I think, is the right approach for African Americans. I think it's the right approach for Latinos. I think it's the right approach for white workers here in the United States.
I want to let Senator Clinton respond, but were you missing in action when Senator Obama and Senator McCain and Senator Kennedy started formulating comprehensive immigration reform?
Well, actually, I co-sponsored comprehensive immigration reform in 2004 before Barack came to the Senate. So I have been on record on behalf of this for quite some time. And, you know, representing New York, the homeland with the Statue of Liberty, bringing all of our immigrants to our shores has been not only an extraordinary privilege, but given me the opportunity to speak out on these issues. When the House of Representatives passed the most mean-spirited provision that said if you were to give any help whatsoever to someone here illegally, you would commit a crime, I stood up and said that would have criminalized the good